Hey, today I've got some unsettling Reddit threads that genuinely had me sleeping with the lights on. If you want more of these videos, hit subscribe and drop a like. Let's get into it. I found a dead forum from 2009. There's a thread with my full name in it, and it updated 3 minutes ago. This one was posted 3 days ago on r/nosleep by glasshalffull07. And right from the jump, this story does something most posts on that sub don't. It makes the internet itself feel like it's watching you back. OP is a college junior working on a media studies project about dead web communities. She's been digging through old archives for weeks, and what she stumbles into one Tuesday night is not what she was researching. So, for context, I'm a college junior doing a media studies project on dead web communities from the late 2000s. Old forums, early boards, that kind of thing. My method is pretty simple. I crawl through Wayback Machine snapshots and old bookmark dumps people uploaded to archive.org. Most of it is exactly what you'd expect. Dead memes, broken image links, edgy mid-2000s humor that aged like milk. But last Tuesday I found something different. A small image board that never got indexed by any search engine, still technically hosted on some forgotten server somewhere. I clicked through random threads for maybe 20 minutes. Then I found a subforum labeled /watch, and buried deep inside it was a thread. The title of the thread was my full legal name, first, middle, last. Posts dating back to 2009. I was 7 years old in 2009. I never posted on any forum. The thread had photos of the house I grew up in, the front porch, the backyard, the window of my childhood bedroom, all taken from angles like someone was standing across the street. I just sat there staring at it with my pulse hammering, and I hit refresh out of pure reflex. A new reply loaded, time-stamped to that exact minute. It read, "She found it. She's sitting at the desk by the window with the blinds open. I am sitting at my desk, by the window, with the blinds open. I slammed my laptop shut so hard I thought I cracked the screen. I pulled the blinds closed and I have not opened them since. Laptop shut, blinds pulled, hands still shaking. And that is just the beginning. Because 20 minutes later she opens it back up. And the older posts in that thread paint a picture that is somehow worse than the live ones. 20 minutes. That is how long she lasted before opening the laptop again. Blinds shut, overhead light off, nothing but the glow of the screen. She told herself she was going to be rational about this. I convinced myself it was a coincidence, a lucky guess, someone posting something generic enough that anyone near a window would think it applied to them. So I went back to the thread. I started from the top this time. The posts from 2009 were not generic. Someone cataloged my family's house in detail. The color of the siding, the car in the driveway, the pattern of which lights turned on and off at night. Posts from 2010, 2011, 2012, sporadic but consistent, like someone checking in every few months. One from 2013 said, "The girl started at the new school on Elm Street." We moved in 2013. I transferred to Elm Street Elementary halfway through 3rd grade. That is not a guess. That is my life. I scrolled to the bottom. The new replies were still stacking. One read, "She closed the blinds, light went off. She's using the laptop screen brightness only now." I was reading a live narration of myself written by someone I could not see. I screenshotted everything, saved the page, copied the URL. I tried tracing the domain registration, buried behind a privacy proxy that stopped existing as a company in 2014. I texted my roommate 2 words, "Come home." I didn't explain why. I just needed another person in the apartment. She didn't send the link, didn't attach the screenshots, just sat there in the dark with her phone in one hand, watching the thread refresh, waiting to see if the next reply would describe her waiting. The thread stretched back over a decade. Dozens of anonymous contributors, but the same few voices kept circling back under different handles, and not a single gap long enough to call it abandoned. Whatever this was, it was patient, and it had never lost sight of her. OP came back the next morning. She hadn't slept, and what she found in that thread changed everything. My roommate got home around midnight. I showed her the thread without saying anything. She scrolled for maybe 30 seconds and laughed. Said it looked like a creepypasta or some elaborate ARG. I wanted to believe her. Then, while we both watched, a new reply loaded. time-stamped to that exact minute. It said, "The friend doesn't believe her. She will." My roommate stopped laughing. She put my phone down and didn't touch it again. I stayed up the rest of the night going through the older posts. Most of them were clinical, dates, observations, patterns, but one handle stood out: Mothlight. They posted between 2009 and 2011, and their tone was completely different. Less like surveillance notes, more like someone who cared. Posts about keeping her safe and making sure they have enough. Something turned in my stomach. I called my mom the next morning, kept it casual. Asked if she ever used image boards back in the day. The line went quiet for just a beat too long. She said no. I said okay. I hung up. Then I went back to the thread and searched for anything that could identify Mothlight. I found a post from 2011. It read, "I can't do this anymore. She's my daughter." After that, Mothlight's posts stop completely. The thread keeps going without her. Dozens more entries, years of them, but Mothlight is gone. The comments on this one hit different. Your mom knew. I'm sorry, but that's the part that would have me losing it. She recognized the handle and she never told you? For over a decade? She didn't just recognize it. When I showed her the handle, she said the name out loud before she even looked at the screen, like she'd been waiting for this conversation. Then she just shut down and wouldn't talk for almost an hour. When she finally did talk, all she said was that she thought leaving the board would make it stop. She never said what it was. The timestamp matching your exact refresh time is genuinely one of the most unsettling things I've ever read on here. That's not a cached page, that's a live feed disguised as a dead forum. And that last line from OP is the part that sits with you. Her mom thought walking away would end it. It didn't. 6 hours later, OP came back with an update post. I'm at a motel, and I think the site knows where I am. I drove to my mom's house, didn't call, didn't text, I just showed up. I sat her down at the kitchen table and put my phone in front of her with the thread open. I asked her who Mothlight was. She went white. Not slowly, instantly, like something behind her face just switched off. She told me she used to post on that board, said it was a group of people who watched things, urban exploration, surveillance photography, that kind of thing. She joined before I was born. She said it started changing around 2008. People in the group started picking subjects, families, kids, routines. She said she got out in 2011, reported the thread, was told it was deleted. She swore to me it was supposed to be gone. I showed her it was still live. I showed her the newest reply. Her face did something I have never seen before. She grabbed my arm and told me to pack a bag and leave my apartment tonight. Not tomorrow, tonight. She would not tell me what the reply said. I looked myself. It said, "The mother knows. It doesn't matter. We already have the layout." I am at a motel off the highway now. I paid cash. I do not know what the layout means, but I think they mapped the inside of every place I have ever lived. The comments on this one went from concerned to full panic mode. I've done a lot of deep web archival stuff, and dead boards from that era almost never stay hosted this long unless someone is actively paying for the server. Someone is maintaining this. This is what's nagging me too. Hosting from that era would have cycled through multiple registrars by now. Either someone migrated the data deliberately, or the domain has been continuously renewed since 2009. Both options mean this is intentional and funded. That's not a ghost, that's infrastructure. Can you post the URL? Or even a partial domain? There are people in this sub who specialize in tracing old boards and server ownership. Might be able to figure out who's behind this. And at this point, the thread is moving faster than OP can keep up with. OP came back one last time. This was the final post. After this, the account went completely silent. I'm at a motel, and I think the site knows where I am. I left my mom's house around 11. I drove for 2 hours. I didn't pick a direction, I just drove until I couldn't anymore. I found a motel off the highway about 40 minutes past the state line. Paid cash. Used a fake name at the desk. I sat on the bed for a long time doing nothing. Then I opened the laptop. I had to check one more time. The domain loaded, but the thread was gone. The whole site was gone. Everything redirected to a single page. No text, no forum, no thread history, just a photograph. It was the motel parking lot. Taken from above, like a drone or a satellite image, but too sharp for satellite, too close. My car was in the frame. I could read the room number on my door. My door. The room I was sitting in right now. I don't know how they knew. I don't know how fast they knew. I closed the laptop. I haven't gone back online since. I'm typing this update on my phone, and then I'm done posting. I don't think it matters where I go. I don't think distance is the problem. What stays with you about this one isn't the watching. It's the duration. 17 years of patient documentation. She grew up inside their records and never knew. Her own mother was part of the operation, and even pulling out didn't end it. Please tell me you've screenshotted everything. If the thread is reacting in real time to your actions, it might also react to you documenting it. Save everything offline now. Glass Half Full '07's account has had zero activity since that post. No edits, no replies to any of the comments, just silence. And that's what makes this one linger. There's no monster here, no ghost, just the quiet, patient architecture of being observed your whole life by something organized enough to wait. But this isn't the only dead forum that came back to life this year. The next story comes from someone who found something similar, except the photos in their thread hadn't been taken yet. My mom, 58-year-old female, has been making my dad, 61-year-old male, these healing teas for months, and he keeps getting worse. I found her search history. Posted to r/offmychest by SinkerSwim 2025, 3 days ago. This next one starts quiet, almost wholesome actually. A daughter moves back home after a rough breakup, a mother in the kitchen brewing tea for her husband. On the surface, it reads like a family pulling together. But stay with the details on this one, because they are going to shift on you fast. I, 26-year-old female, moved back in with my parents about 4 months ago after a bad breakup. Nowhere else to go, and they took me in without hesitation. First thing I noticed when I got home was my dad. He looked rough, like 10 years older rough. He had lost maybe 30 pounds. His hands shook holding his coffee, and he was throwing up after most meals. I asked my mom about it, and she waved it off. He is getting older. Work has been stressful, the usual. She told me not to worry because she had been making him these special healing teas from herbs she keeps in a pantry off the kitchen. She locks it with a little padlock. I thought it was sweet, honestly. She would be in there humming to herself, steeping the tea, then carry it out on a tray to my dad like she was serving royalty. 2 weeks ago, I found one of her teas cooling on the counter, and I don't know why, but I dipped my finger in and tasted a drop. My tongue went numb. Not tingly, numb, for almost 2 hours. That night, I waited until they were both asleep, and I picked the padlock with a bobby pin. Inside, I found unlabeled bags of white powder on the shelves, a milligram scale, and a notebook. Every page tracked my dad's weight week by week. Every entry showed him lighter than the last, and next to every single number, she had drawn a small smiley face. I am in this pantry right now reading this notebook under my phone flashlight, and my hands will not stop shaking. The smiley faces. That is the detail that rewires this entire story. Not the powder, not the scale. The fact that she drew a little smile next to every entry as he got lighter and lighter and lighter. And she is only getting started. After what she found in that pantry, OP doesn't confront her mom, doesn't call anyone. She puts everything back exactly the way she found it, relocks the door, and for the next few days, she does something almost harder. She just watches. For the next few days, I barely slept. I just watched her. The way she'd disappear into that pantry with the door locked for 30 minutes at a time. The way she'd bring Dad his tea, sit across from him, and watch him drink every sip. If he set it down, she'd nudge it back. Finish it while it's warm, honey. I snuck back in when she was out and took photos. The notebook, the bags, the scale. Then I checked her browser history on the family desktop. She hadn't even cleared it. Thallium sulfate taste. Sub-lethal dosing weight-based. Symptoms mimicking aging. How long before organ damage is irreversible? I sat there, and all I could hear was her voice singing me to sleep when I was 6. This woman braided my hair before school, packed notes in my lunchbox, and she's researching how to kill my dad slowly enough that nobody notices? Then I remembered. Months ago, Dad said food tasted metallic. Mom laughed and called it a sinus infection. I went to my car in the driveway and called poison control. Anonymous. Described the symptoms: tremors, vomiting, weight loss, confusion. The woman on the line went quiet. Then she told me to get him to an ER immediately. There's this moment in stories like this where what you suspected becomes what you know. Those search terms are the line. There is no version of this where Mom is just being eccentric with herbal remedies. And the thing that gets you is how long this might have been going on. Not weeks, maybe not even months. This could stretch back further than OP wants to let herself think about. She's in her car, engine off, phone in her lap. Her mom is inside that house right now, and OP has to figure out how to get her father out without letting her know why. So this is where OP makes her move. I told my mom I wanted to take Dad to brunch, just the two of us, a father-daughter thing. She smiled this warm, genuine smile and said, "That sounds lovely. Just make sure he eats something gentle on his stomach." She even waved from the porch. I drove straight to the ER. I didn't tell him where we were going until I pulled into the parking lot. He looked so confused. I sat in the driver's seat for maybe 10 minutes trying to figure out how to say it. When I got to the intake nurse, I could barely get the words out. I kept saying, "I think my mother is poisoning my father," and she kept asking me to repeat myself like she couldn't process it either. They ran blood work. The doctor came back looking like he'd seen a ghost. Chronic, low-level thallium exposure. He said he was stunned my dad was still walking. They started IV chelation therapy immediately. I had to call the police from the hospital hallway. I stood there watching two officers write down the words "attempted murder" in their notebooks while my phone buzzed. It was my mom. The text said, "Hey sweetie, does Dad want chamomile or ginger tonight?" with a little heart emoji. I just stared at it. The thread absolutely erupted after that. I work in toxicology. The numbness from one drop is extremely concerning. Do not let her know you tasted it. Do not let her know you found the pantry. Get your father out of that house today. We got him out. I'm writing the update now. You were right about not telling her. When I came back to the house to get his insurance documents, she'd already cleaned the pantry completely. Every bag, the scale, the notebook, all gone. If I hadn't taken pictures on my phone that first night, I would have had nothing. She looked me right in the eyes and asked if I wanted chamomile tea. I almost threw up. The smiley face is next to his weight loss. I actually feel sick reading that. Please tell me your dad is safe right now. OP, please update us when you can. I'm genuinely worried about your safety too. If she's been doing this to your dad for months without anyone noticing, she's very good at hiding things. OP came back a few days later with an update post, and this one hit different. His blood work came back, and I can't stop shaking. So, Mom was arrested 4 days ago. They charged her, and she posted bail the next morning. Dad is still in the hospital, but he is improving. The tremors are slowing down, he has put on 3 pounds, and his mind is clearing. Yesterday, he was lucid enough to really talk. I sat next to his bed, and I asked him as gently as I could, "Did you ever tell Mom you wanted to die? Did you ever ask her to help you go?" He looked at me, and I have never seen that kind of terror on another person's face. He said he never said anything like that, not once. He did not even know he was being poisoned. He thought he was dying of some mystery illness and that his wife was the only one trying to save him. She was his comfort, his safe person, and the whole time she was the reason he was dying. I keep replaying the arrest. When they put the cuffs on her, she looked directly at me, not panicked, not angry, and said I was easing him toward peace. He asked me 2 years ago. Like she was explaining why she chose a certain brand of tea. Like it was the most reasonable thing in the world. She said it with love in her voice. That is what I cannot get past. The reaction to this update was immediate. I hate how calm she sounds in your description. That's the scariest part. She really believes she's doing something loving. That's what makes this textbook. The people who do this almost never see themselves as killers. In their mind, they're caregivers. They journal about it. They track progress. They feel pride. The smiley faces aren't psychopathic. They're maternal. And that's so much worse. Call the police, right now. Not tomorrow, not after you talk to her about it. Now. This is attempted murder. And OP is left sitting with that. A father who had no idea, and a mother who still believes she was showing love. So here's where things ended up for OP and her dad. Dad is in a recovery facility now. He's putting weight back on slowly. The tremors are less frequent. Some days he can hold a fork without his hand shaking. The restraining order against my mom is still pending, but she's staying with my aunt 2 states over in the meantime. She keeps calling me. That's the part that messes me up the most, honestly. Her voice sounds exactly the same as it always has. Calm and warm and motherly. She tells me she forgives me for not understanding. She says she hopes one day I'll see that everything she did came from a place of love. I hang up every time, but I still haven't blocked her number. I don't know why. The worst part isn't even the poison. It's that I can't stop replaying my entire childhood now. Every single bowl of soup she made me when I was homesick from school. Every packed lunch she slipped into my backpack. Every holiday meal she spent hours preparing while we all sat around the table trusting her completely. I don't know what was in any of it. I flinch now when someone hands me a cup of anything. Coffee at work, a glass of water at a friend's apartment. My whole body just locks up. I don't know how to grieve someone who is still alive. She's not dead. She's just someone I will never be able to trust again. And somehow, that feels worse than a funeral. One comment on this final post summed it up pretty well. The locked pantry and the scale are what got me. That's not someone confused about herbal medicine. That's someone who knows exactly what she's doing and is measuring it precisely. What stays with me about this whole story isn't the poison or the charges or the search history. It's how ordinary all of it looked from the outside. A mother making tea for her husband, humming in the kitchen while the kettle boiled. The scariest things in this world hide behind the most familiar rituals of love. And that is the last story for today.